The Interesting Life of a Blind Writer. Page 1. The Get Up. A gunshot goes off. Bang! A bullet whizzes by and hit a wall. Brick fragments cover the entire area. At the same time, there's an ambulance speeding by with an alarm ringing and lights flashing. I jump through a small split in the fence, landing on a dumpster that sits slightly lower than ground level, sitting next to a restaurant filled with people. 3 men are trailing me, one with a gun who is shooting at me. "We need to get him. I want my money now," says the man with the gun. I see a ladder hanging from a building down a small alley. Out of breath already, I run as hard as I can to give me some momentum so that I can leap off the ground. My hands barely catch the bars. Yes! I pull myself up to the first floor, gather myself quickly, and pull the ladder up with me so I can stop them from following me. I started running up as many steps as I can, trying to find my way to the roof for protection. Bang! Bang! The man is yelling at me at the same time as he's shooting. "I will get my money, or else you will die. You will not be safe anywhere. I promise that." I make it to the roof, fall on my butt, rest on my back on the wall, as I'm breathing heavily with my hands resting on my head. Damn, I gotta get out of this. I remember when I was young seeing my father preaching as a child, the sweat running off his face, the drums and organ playing behind his every word. It was like an old Southern active, energized pastor, covered in emotion with something to say for those who needed spiritual help. Some were fainting, others were crying, and people were walking in from the street because they were feeling the emotion. The killers, drug dealers, prostitutes, and many others connected at the point to hear the message emanating from the speakers. I was sitting in awe, mesmerized by what I was seeing from such a mid-sized man. It was like the passion and love my father had for what he was doing. He really wanted to affect people with a thing called religion, an effect that comes from a good place. Being born in the early 80s, there was so much going on that has been told repeatedly. The drugs, music, busy streets, sex, and major transference of old times to new ones was happening all around the world. As a child, seeing these things for the first time is not only shocking, but crazy. One night we were walking home with my mom. She was holding my hand tightly with her right hand as the streets were packed with many people from all walks of life. A woman is leaning in the car with shorts that fall under her butt with stringy-looking things hanging at the tips. She is chewing gum and blowing bubbles with pop sound happening with each blow of a bubble every 5 seconds. Her hair is curly, with blonde streaks running down at the ends. The man in the car is speaking to her in an angry tone. "I want my money tonight, or it will be problems." He hits the gas and the tire smoke, which is followed with a screeching sound. She sticks her middle finger up. Anger fills her face, then she yells out, "Forget his ass, and his mama too." The woman walks away while speaking loudly and showing hostility towards everyone in her vicinity, except for a man who recognizes her with a greeting. "Hello, baby." As if they have a better intimate relationship than the man who angrily sped off in the car. The entire area has cars passing in and out, but no one is stopping for more than 3 seconds. It's like a pass and go, but the rule is not to stop. Sirens are ringing out everywhere around the city. I see kids on the street playing and I don't see any parents with them. They're doing whatever they want. "Mom, they have no parents with them." I said it with a shock in my voice, surprised at what I'm seeing. My mother continues to walk. She pulls my hand even harder, and without even looking at me, she says, "Their parents allow them to do that, but it's not safe, and you all won't be able to do that." As we are passing, I'm still looking at them for about 2 blocks with envy, because they are doing what I want to do. It was in my mind all the way home. I wasn't concerned with anything else going on around us because I wanted to play with those children. The crazy thing is, passing 4 more blocks, I see more children right before I reach home that are doing the same things as those other kids. The city life changes kids. There are differences we face that can't compare to suburban kids. Peer pressure is amongst the highest things that kids have to face when they live close to one another. I was a child that didn't want to do what the other kids would do, and that was a problem to some kids. The attention was aimed in my direction. "Look at him. He is too scared to do anything," a boy said. He takes a stick and pushes it in my chest. The pain is reaching down my arm, and immediately my heart changes rhythm. I couldn't do anything but yell, "Ow!" The other kids are laughing, including my brother. My brother. Let's talk about how I looked up to him, but he didn't like me. It is 5 of us, 4 boys and 1 girl, and it wasn't hard for her because we were significantly younger except for our oldest brother. My parents had the last 3 boys a year apart in age, which made things kind of touchy in everything we would do as kids because there wasn't a big difference in age. The fights were constant. Every day there was something between us, and I mean something. One day we had a fight in a car about whose elbow needed to be on the armrest in the back seat. In the 80s, the cars had a different design in the back seat. There were these small, foamy armrests which could easily rip, and these armrests would break and lock into place. My brother, who was a year older, didn't want my arm there because he felt he should be the first one. "Move your arm off of mine," he says. Anger fills my face, and I reply with the most severe form of anger. "What? Who do you think you are? This is not your car. I will put my arm here if I want to. Do something about it." Bam! He swings at me with a closed fist. The punch lands. I respond back with a strike. There's mayhem going on in the back seat as my mother drives towards Maryland. "Sit down! Stop it! Sit down!" My mother is still yelling with none of us stopping. My brother and I hated one another. There's no love at all. Not one single drop. But I want to explain who the family is, if you don't mind. My mother's a hardworking, motivated woman who works with my father to keep the family intact. The intelligence my mother has grown to acquire is the reason why my father has the ultimate wife. She is dedicated, loving, bonded, and has faith in God in all areas of faith. After working every day in a corporate setting, she also leaves work every day to help with the activities of the church. The church. It is filled with all types of people from a damaged city. Not everything is damaged, but it can be a tough city to live in. My mother lived in this environment her entire life, and she has seen the changes that her birth city has made. And getting pregnant and having a baby as a teen changed her life. Meeting my father years later is the thing that pulled her through many of the hardships. It wasn't an easy road for her at all. The adjustments made and the lessons learned would give her the knowledge for her future actions. My mother's a mother that loves her children like no other mother. And I know, you say the same thing about your mother. But because of my father and mother, they had a different approach to things when it came to us. My father was born in the South at a time when segregation, racism, hatred from many whites, and religion was at an all-time high for black people. He didn't have his father in his life. Hell, he had to really dig for at least one name of the man who can possibly be his father. My mother's mother was very different from my father's mother, very different. My father's mother believed in the old school hands-on approach when it came to their children. It was to do whatever I say and not whatever I do type of approach. So, my father was told what to do by his mother, helping with everything that he could because his mother didn't have anyone else. My father plowed fields, picked cotton, and was able to get less of an education than everyone else. When my father left the South and made it to the city, it was a different approach to what he was used to. It was more of a faster pace with a desire for economics. It was more drinking, partying, and women, even a desire for martial arts. He wanted to be the real Bruce Lee, the smaller man that can chop down a tree. When I was in martial arts, I met a man that can leap off his feet and kick out a light. Boy, y'all didn't know. I can kick over my head without you knowing, my father says. For years, he would learn the city life, the laws, people, and styles of the city. My father became a no-nonsense type of man. He had his reasons to why his personality would take on these strict measures. His old school ways were brought along with him to the city, the thing that made him tougher than city people. He would then meet my mother after she had her baby. This made him an immediate father, the father that he didn't have. But they would meet when my mother was just getting over the birth of my oldest brother. The two connected instantly, making the connection complete with marriage, even though many doubted them. My mother was pregnant again with my sister, 2 babies back to back. The first 9 years of my life would shape my future because of my peers. Living in a city, the school systems are different to certain parents. Some parents send their children to Catholic school for a more disciplined and involved education. Parents work 2 or 3 jobs just to pay for these schools so their children can attend. School was never a problem for me. It was somewhat easy because I was able to pick up things quickly. Dad. Every report card I get, with a pause, I stop. Then I just let it out. Every report card I get, I have good grades. Tired from work, he looks up, mouth full of food. That's good, son. After I hear those words, I run off with excitement on my face, bust through the door of the room, and my other siblings look at me with plain faces. Catholic school is very different from public school because of the discipline they are authorized to give. If a student needs to be disciplined, a 12-inch ruler is used on the back side of their hands, and they are struck several times. I didn't have this happen to me because I was a very nerdy black kid that loved education and was scared of everything else. After school, I would ride the public bus back home or save money to buy snacks by walking home.